Mrs. Bizier here, and today I'm going to be talking about the meal plan. And I assume you've already read everything in the week 2 folder, so go ahead and read it. All right, welcome back. We're going to start with your double entry journal. Of course, you've got a lot more than this, that, the other. The side where you listed Reeves's ideas, all this, that goes into your summary, right? So hopefully all the main points that you wrote down under Reeves's ideas are going to help you make your summary. Today we're going to talk about turning this side, your response, into coherent paragraphs that will make up your essay, your first Portfolio 1 essay. So how do we turn everything you wrote there into an essay? That's where the meal plan comes into play. The meal plan. If you can't download the meal plan template off of Blackboard, don't worry about it. It's just a blank Word document with MEAL written down the side. So you can do that on your own and fill it in. All right, so where do we start? M for main point. Start with your double entry journal. Take the first thing you wrote under my response, right there, and turn that into your main point. For an example, I'm going to use the Pride, Prejudice, and Insurance article, which you haven't read, but the sample summary was written about that. In the sample meal plan that I have posted on Blackboard, I argue against health insurance, so for this one, I'll argue for it. Have a nice balance. So let's say the main point here is that I agree that health insurance is a right, or that health care is a right, unlike what I wrote on Blackboard. All right, so main point, health care is a right. All right, so that goes under M. That's your main point, and that would be the first thing you wrote on your double entry journal. Okay, main point, healthcare is a right. Evidence. All right, I have an example from my own life, let's say. As evidence, I'm going to talk about a trip we had to take to the ER to get my son's chest x-rayed to make sure he didn't have pneumonia. All right, that's my evidence, trip to the ER. Main point, healthcare is a right. I'm agreeing with the author. Evidence comes from my own life. It doesn't have to. You can use evidence from something you've read, something you've watched, or your own life. Analysis. Now, this is a part that a lot of people find really tricky. So I'm going to walk you through it. Okay, the link between the main point, healthcare is a right, and the evidence, trip to the ER, that's painfully clear to me, right? I lived it. I wrote it. It's my idea. Okay, I understand where this is coming from. You might not. Your reader might not. And this is the tricky thing about writing, because it all makes sense up here, right? The connection is obvious to me. It's not obvious to your writer. So analysis is where you spell it out. This is where you say what you don't think you have to say. You make it painfully, painfully clear. All right. So my main point is that I think healthcare is a right. My evidence is the trip I took to the ER. How do the two connect? I'm going to connect them here in analysis. I'm not going to write it all out. When I showed up at the ER with a sick baby who needed a chest x-ray, they didn't say, "Can you pay for it?" They said, "Come right in." They strapped him down. They took a chest x-ray. That tells me that they treated me like healthcare is a right. Okay, this is not necessarily my opinion, right? In this class, I don't give my opinion. I let you voice yours. I criticize your writing, critique your writing, not your opinion. So this is just for the sake of example. Analysis treated me like a right. Treated like a R for right. Treated like it was a right. I understand this connection in my head perfectly well. I spell it out under analysis for the benefit of my reader, for you. And then the very last part of the paragraph is called a link. All right, this is where I give you a little preview of what's coming next. So every paragraph in your essay, to have them tie together into a cohesive whole and not be one idea and then chunk another idea, chunk another idea, right? We have to connect them somehow. So the link is where you give the reader a little preview of what's coming next. It can be beneficial to say something like, however, I agree with Krugman that healthcare is a right. However, I don't like his analysis of other countries. Okay? Or in addition, I agree that healthcare is a right. In addition, I also agree that Americans should be paying more. Okay? This is where you tell the reader what's coming next. The very last paragraph of your essay, the one that comes before the conclusion, is not going to have a link, so you can leave that blank, the last MEAL that you fill out. But every other one, think about what comes next, what's the next main point, and how can you introduce it here? Just give the reader a little preview. There we go. So you'll have a meal plan for every paragraph in your essay. As an aside, you don't always have to do MEAL, right? You can start with your evidence. You can say, one of the most exciting, frightening, important experiences of my life was my trip to the ER, where the healthcare professionals treated me as if healthcare was a right and not a privilege. Okay, I've started with the evidence, I've gone on to the analysis. Therefore, I agree with Krugman that healthcare is a right. Okay, so you can do an EAML instead of an MEAL, but every paragraph, every body paragraph in your essay and your response is going to need to have all four of these elements. Main point, evidence, analysis, and a link. All right, I hope that helps to clarify meal plan, and as always, if you have any questions, go ahead and email me. Thanks.